recently signed up for the Rails Rumble contest, and that's a competition where you try to create a Rails application in 48 hours. And the sign up page there was really interesting. Basically, it just asks you to sign in through any one of these services. And providing all these services in a single application can be a lot of work to implement. But I noticed it's also powered by Jan Rain, so I investigated this a little more. And then I found this service called Jan Rain Engage. It's also called RPX, so if you're doing some Googling, you might want to use the term RPX as well. And basically this is a central authentication service, one API which your application communicates with, which connects to a lot of different other authentication solutions out there. Now, I normally don't cover commercial services like this, but they do offer a free plan, which I find to be really useful, especially if you just want something simple and quick. This will work perfect for a Rails Rumble contest entry. Now, once you finish signing up for the free plan, you'll get to a page that looks like this. And the two things we'll need from this page is the API key and the name of our application, which is in this case, Railscast. Now, while we're here, we can also do some additional setup. So if you choose Sign In here, and you can choose Providers, and here you can see all the different providers that your service provides, and you can choose which ones you want to display on your site. Now, the free plan, you can only choose 6 of them here, but really there's a lot of options to choose from, and usually 6 is enough. So some of them here, though, require you to do some additional setup on that site. So for example, Twitter, we would need to set up our application as an OAuth client there, but usually that's not too much work. For this case, though, we'll just stick with the 4 that we have on here by default. And now we just have to embed this into our Rails application. Now, if you're creating authentication from scratch, I encourage you to check out the RPX Now gem, which offers a lot of great functionality for embedding this in your app. And if you're using AuthLogic, you might want to check out the AuthLogic RPX gem, which I haven't tried yet, but looks really promising. And then if you're using Devise, check out the Devise RPX Connectable gem. This is really easy to set up, and I was pretty impressed with this, so this is actually what I'm going to demonstrate here in this episode. Now, if you aren't familiar with Devise, check out episode number 209, where I built some basic authentication using Devise. And in this episode, I'm basically going to build on what I ended with in that episode. And this is what that application looks like. And as you can see, we have basic sign up and sign in links. And each of those go to a pretty standard form that would need to be filled out. But instead, I want to go have one link here and have it go to where they can select the service of their choice using that to sign up. And this is where that Devise RPX Connectable gem comes into play. So inside your gem file, just add Devise RPX Connectable inside there. And then run bundle install to make sure that it's installed. Next, we need to add an RPX identifier to our users table. So we'll just generate a migration here called add RPX to users, and then it'll be called RPX identifier, and it's just a string column. And then we'll run dbmigrate to insert that column. And the next step is to go inside your user model, and where you have the Devise call, just add RPX Connectable. There we go. Next, go inside your Devise config file. You'll find this in the initializers directory of your application. And at the bottom of this file here, just add an entry for RPX application name. And then just set this to whatever name you signed up with. In this case, is Railscast. And we also need to specify the API key, and this is done through RPX Now. So just call RPX Now API key, and then set it to whatever your API key is. And then the last thing we need to do is just change our sign up link. So in this case, it's located in our layout file here. And what we need to do is change it to link to RPX. Let's call it sign in, and pass in the user session URL here. Now let's give this a try. Here in our application, we now just have a simple sign in link, and this actually directs us to our Railscast application on Jan Rain's server. So as you can see, we have all these choices, and we can customize those if we want. I'm going to use OpenID in this case. Let me use ryanbates.myopenid.com, sign in through here. And I'm already logged in here, so I'll just continue. And then that'll take me back to my application. And as you can see, it now says signed in successfully, and it tells me that I'm signed in as Ryan at railscast.com. So it all is successful. Now, if you want your sign-in panel to be a cool little JavaScript overlay, what you can do is include this bit of code at the end of your layout file. Basically, this will just insert some JavaScript code there. And then when I go to sign in here, you can see we get this cool JavaScript overlay in our site. And look, it remembered all my information, so it should do it pretty quickly here without any additional interaction. There we go. We're just signed in like magic. Alternatively, what you could do is embed the sign-in panel anywhere in your application using an iframe. And you could do that with this bit of code, embed rpx, and then user session URL. And you'll probably want to do this maybe next to the sign up or login forms, just saying as an alternative, you can do it through one of these services. But here I'm just adding it to the end of our project's index action just for convenience. And then when we go to that page, you can see there's our list of sign-in options embedded right into our site. Now everything I've shown you so far is inside the Devise RPX README, so I encourage you to check it out because there's also some additional options you can pass in here to request additional user information and so on. So check it out. Jan Rain Engage is pretty awesome, and I encourage you to use it, especially if you're doing it for a Rails Rumble contest. I think the judges will really appreciate all those sign-up options. So engage.